and I am playing with YouTube's Go Live function. My first time trying to play with this. I'm hoping moving forward in the future, I'm going to be able to offer a couple of classes, YouTube Live weekly, that focus on the two types of yoga I teach as a yoga therapist. There is what I call chair-assisted yoga, where we do a lot of standing, poses seated in a chair, and poses down on the ground, but we have the chair there nearby when we need to get up. And then I also I teach yoga in chairs, although sometimes with those classes I do encourage people to stand up and do a little bit of the standing supported yoga because of its benefits for our bone health. But that's always an option. I thought I would do a little short practice of my chair-assisted yoga. It's a course I call Yoga for Vitality. My approach as a yoga therapist who specializes in interventions for aging well, aging into vitality. So that's one of those terms I use, and that class is called Yoga for Vitality. The first thing, you see I have this thing here in my hand, and I was going to just do a quick note because not only am I a yoga therapist who specializes in interventions for aging, I'm a yoga therapist who lives with hypermobility spectrum disorder. So what you see here is one of my ankle wraps. I have the privilege of getting to start working with physical therapists who have some understanding about hypermobility disorders, one of whom's a specialist in it. And when they saw how weak my ankles are, you can see this is what I'm doing. I'm doing a little foot thing. This is just a lightweight wrap. One of my ankles was broke due to it turning. My ankles collapse and are unstable, and I've had a lot of falls due to my ankles. And so one of the things, two of the physical therapists I have suggested was that when I'm doing yoga, I just wrap these ankles in a little bit of lightweight support so that I get a little more stability in my standing poses, in my balancing poses, and my kneecaps are also prone to getting out of place. And one of the thoughts too is that my ankles are so unstable, it's also putting a lot of stress on my knees. So that's a little thing I do as someone who lives with hypermobility to support a practice to keep it safe for my joints. So now that I have my ankles wrapped up, I'm going to come back up to standing. I've already had one on, so you just had to wait for me to do the second one. All right, so in a standing pose, right, take a moment with that. Right? I like to encourage people rock around on the feet, right? Especially it's the beginning of a practice. Right? I like to do this it's the whole foot circle. I'm going around the very outer edges of both my feet at once. You can see the chair is right nearby, so if I feel wobbly, I'm going to put my hand over. This chair's also got 2 feet, at least 2 feet on a yoga mat. Now, I've been going one way for a while. I'm going to go the other way. And you can see this movement here, it gets all the way up through my knees, my hips. It just gets a little bit of warm up happening. I do not have a moderator. It is just me, so it's very hard for me to come forward. I see the comments being made. I'm not going to talk about how old I am right now, and if you're dealing with something like pneumonia, this practice that I'm about to start might feel a little too vigorous. We're going to start doing some standing poses. I will be showing seated versions of these, and I do have, if you are dealing with something like pneumonia or COVID, if you look through my past videos, there are some videos there that are like really, there's one that's called a slow, sweet soothe that can be done on top of the bed that I actually created for a friend of mine who's also one of my clients who has long COVID. So yeah, sorry if I miss those questions. I'm in Portland, Oregon, in the United States, by the way. It is late morning here where I am. All right, so you can see I brought the chair up alongside so it's a little closer. I'm going to do a little bit of a flow back and forth. My teacher calls this a warrior dance. And actually, let me give myself just a little bit more room. As you can see, I don't have a fancy studio I'm coming to you from. This is our den. We're going to eventually kind of redo part of our house for a studio. But not yet. So I'm reaching up. My hands have gone off screen, so I'm going to back up. I'm going to flip my hands over like this, right? Like I want to push the ceiling away. In my community, we call it waterfall pose. And then my hands are going to sweep down, right? And as they go past my hips, I'm going to come up onto my toes. And this can be pretty wobbly for me, right? I've been doing this for years because of the hypermobility in my ankles. Right, this can be really wobbly. I have my arms reaching back. And now, so a bit of an adventure option. You could stay up on your toes for the next bit or come down. Because what we're going to do is step back our right foot. And what I like to do before we go right into those kind of classic warrior one shape poses, you can see I'm warming my knee up. Right? And when I feel like there's the just right amount, right, of a little bend there, then I'm gonna stabilize, push out of that right foot, that front left foot back to the right foot here. My arms are reaching up, I'm reaching back. And then I'm gonna actually turn this way because I wanna turn to be able to see. Right, I see more questions. I'll come back to the screen and comments in a moment. Right, I'm bending and I've opened up to my left side, to my right side, sorry. Into a kind of warrior two shape. Right, I'm going to turn this left hand up and I'm going to sweep it up and over. And then when my next exhale comes along, I'm going to use that to pull up. Breathe in. And as I breathe out, notice how I lengthen that front left leg. I'm reaching off to the left. I'm going to flow down and make a triangle now. Little pause here, feel the feet press down, expanding across the chest and the upper back. Right. Next time you exhale, start bending that front left knee. See how I'm bringing the left forearm right there onto the leg. I'm gonna then sweep that right arm up and over. I'm in a little side angle here. Next time an inhale comes along, breathe in, pulling back to that right side to come back to that warrior two shape. Take in a breath, let that out. As you next breathe in, step that back right foot around so you're facing forward again. There's that warrior one shape. We're gonna add on here, let me change my direction there, right? Breathe in, exhale, we're gonna bow, 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 long back. And then inhale, sweep the arms back. Breathe out. As you breathe in, now here's where the chair can be really handy. I'm gonna push off that right foot, lengthen through the left leg, and make a warrior three shape. And as you can see, I'm kind of listing. So hand goes the chair. I have a wall very close by as well. I'm gonna stabilize again and try how it feels to have both hands off. Sometimes bringing the hands together at the heart center to me is a little more stable than reaching back or forward. Now this one's a big balancing one. Instead of landing in warrior one, I'm going to pivot on that leg and land back in mountain pose. So sometimes that goes a little wobbly, which is why we have a chair. All right. Yoga is something I have been doing since 2003 because I was having chronic back pain. And then when I saw a physical therapist, I had a really not a very good experience. And yoga was the only thing that helped for a long time. Now that I understand, one of the things I've been working against is hypermobility, which a lot of people joke, they're like, oh, that sounds like a benefit for yoga. But in reality, the direction from many yoga teachers to take the shoulders back and down can cause both of my arms to come out of my shoulder joints a little bit. So, and is why my balancing poses, I've been doing yoga for that many years, And you can see how wobbly my ankles are still despite all the strengthening, and even sometimes with some support. Imagine how wobbly they are if I didn't have those ankle supports on. All right, so we're gonna do the other side. We went all through that right leg is back. We're gonna inhale, remember, hand sweep all the way up, 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 up. We push the sky away from us, and then we come down with the hands and they sweep back. Behind us, we rise up onto our toes. Take a breath in. Now here, you can come down or stay up as that left foot steps back. And then again, the right knee hasn't been the supporting lunging knee, so I just do a little evaluation, right? Sometimes this knee bend wants to be like that. Sometimes for folks, that knee bend wants to be like that, right? Really deep. I'm somewhere in between myself most days. I got the hips facing, right, that short end of the mat, and now I'm gonna bring the hands up. There's a strong pelvic tilt here as I lift the chest. I'm gonna lift the face, breathe in. And now on the exhale, right, I'm gonna turn to the left. And you see, I'm stretching this out more, right? To me, this version of warrior feels good in a wider stance. Reaching back through this leg here and down through this foot here. We don't want the weight here or here, right? We want to be right in the center. Take a breath in, and then now on the exhale, pull that right leg back, reach right, flow down. There's that triangle shape. Scoot my chair just a little more. And from that triangle shape, I'm going to bend that front knee, drop my right forearm on my right knee. Then that left arm is going to come up and over. Reach, 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 reach. Next time there's an inhale, pull back up. There's that warrior two shape. It may land right in the middle. Next inhale, right? I'm going to step. Could even be a couple steps. There's that warrior one again. I'm going to breathe in and take a turn to the front. And as I breathe out, bow with me. We got a humble warrior here. And then breathe in, sweep the arms back. Go ahead and breathe all the way out. And then on the inhale, push up off that left leg, up onto the length of the right leg. Right? Maybe keep a hand on the chair. Hands reach back. Some people like to take the hands way out front. I can tell that will be too much wobble today. But hands at heart is not too bad. And then here comes the trickier bit. Right? Maybe keep a hand on the chair. We pivot on that lengthened right leg. Here we are back in a mountain pose. So a little warrior flow. I'm going to take just a moment to find a yoga strap. Now, when I say yoga strap, keep in mind what I'm looking for anyone to have is something that they can hold, right, about this far apart. Usually this is kind of the minimum. And it's rigid. It's not stretchy like a TheraBand. Right, I'll show you the difference here. So this is a TheraBand, right? And TheraBands are great, stretchy. What they're doing is when we're doing exercises, right, like that, for shoulder stability, the TheraBand is like having weights, right, and that resistance. So it has a very specific job it's doing. Whereas when we say a yoga strap, it's not stretchy, it's rigid, so we can push against it. A bathrobe tie works great. A dog leash works great. A necktie you're not overly fond of will be perfect. So anything that's got a little bit of length. And we're gonna do just a little shoulder stretching with this. I'm gonna move my chair a little more out of the way, still handy, but a little more out of the way. This particular one is really fancy. It's got holes in it. It's made of loops. And when I had a significant hand and wrist injury, which is how we discovered I had a hypermobility disorder, this was recommended because I could slip this around my upper arm until this hand eventually, very long time, got strong enough again to hold a strap. But I really do love it. It's a great one. So what I'm going to do is I'm pulling this apart, right? And I have it like the width of a doorway, right? That's kind of a good guidance. You could also use like a kitchen towel, a tea towel. If you hold it at opposite corners, you'll have about this length. We pull this up over our heads. And then once it's up over our heads, I'm going to make some little figure eights. And I'm starting really small. I'm just checking in how my shoulders are feeling today with this movement. When we do these movements like this, these are dynamic stretches. You can find on my channel a short video of seated dynamic stretches and a short one on standing ones. All right, so we've been kind of getting that movement. I'm now going to pull my right hand down, and watch what I do. I'm coming down, and then I'm going to go back a little bit. At the same time, this left hand is pushing up, 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 up. Okay. This is stretching through those upper ribs, that armpit area. And I'm going to pull with the left hand, lift with the right, come up. Right, maybe just a little movement there. And then same thing, I'm not bending at the waist. Left arm's coming down, then back. Right hand pushes up. Rest of the body's in a mountain pose. I like to check my neck isn't trying to hold my arm up. Trying to keep the head and face neutral. And now pull up that right arm and bring the left arm up. So now gently, gently pull the strap apart, reach back behind you. Go ahead and let your face lift with this one. Feel the tailbone reach to the earth. And now bring that back up, pull it apart, bring it all the way down. Take just a moment, right? Give the hands a little shake. Over the years, one of my teachers once commented, she's like, you need to hold the strap more gently. She's like, it looks like you're holding the strap as if it is a rope hanging off the edge of a cliff. And sure enough, yeah, I looked down and I had white knuckles. I was holding on so hard. So now we're going to get deeper down the side with this kind of similar movement. You can see what I've done. I've stepped out to the outer edges of my mat. So my feet are actually even a little wider than my shoulders. I'm going to first move the hips a little side to side. We're going to get all the way down to the hips with this one. So I like them to get just a little movement first. Okay, then I'm going to come to a mountain pose with wide stance. I'm going to bring the hands up. I'm going to send the hips over to the left, and I'm going to pull the hands down to the right. Now, when I get to kind of a stopping point, I'm going to reach out with my hands, and there's a little adventure option there. I lift it up into the toes of that right foot. I'm reaching down to the pinky toe. Okay, now pull to the left side, come up. Land that foot down. Come back to that little figure eight above your head. Sorry, my glasses are sliding there. Okay, now let's do the other side. So make sure I've got a little looseness in my knees, especially if your knees are like mine and they're prone to hyperextension. We want to make sure we're not in any hyperextension as we do this. And I've shifted the hips right. You can see I'm reaching left. Arms reach out. Then I'm going to come up onto my left toes. I'm breathing through. Big breaths here. Now pull, come up, let that land, let yourself reach back again, let the tailbone come down, chest lift, a little back bend there, and then bring that up and bring it down. All right, so what I like about those in combination is we get all the side body lengthened. We started to get some movement and lengthening through the front of the body. We're going to move on to a little more balancing and hip mobility. So I'm bringing the chair back again, right? 2 feet are on the mat. I can lean on this. It's not really going to go anywhere. Strap I'm going to set off to the side. We might come back to that later. And a quick little hydration break there. All right, so hip mobility, right? We want our hips to be able to move in all ranges and directions. And especially important, right, if we have any, if we do one of those jobs where we're sitting a lot or standing a lot, we get a lot of stiffness. So this is another kind of dynamic stretch, and you can see I'm leaning here to make it easy to bring this leg up, right? And I'm gonna try and bring it not just out, but up behind me and around. Still gotta get clear of the chair there, right? And then I've done a few times in one way, so now I'm gonna try and go the other way. Really try and get that lift up behind you. Okay, now I'm gonna switch around, right? Get my other leg going. Let me switch that too, so I'm not completely behind that chair, right? Okay, a few times one way. All right, so get a little, all the directions the hip goes. Now I'm gonna bring this back behind me. What we're gonna add on to this kind of big movement we were doing there with the hips is a series of standing balancing poses. And what I love about this series is that it really makes this down leg have to work really hard. So it works on the way our hips stabilize us while standing with all kinds of force and direction happening. So I'm gonna lean my weight into that left leg. I'm gonna lift right leg first, right? And that lift is coming up, and you notice my hip came way up with it. So I'm gonna bring my hip down so it's even. I'm flexing back that right foot to help it stay up. And now I'm gonna twist to the right. See how the left hand's come over? I've grabbed that outside of the knee. I'm reaching my right hand back behind me towards the wall. I call this one heron. It might have some other name. I live in a place with lots of herons, so, okay, now I'm gonna unwind. See how I'm trying to keep that leg lifted? Now, we're gonna pivot over. There's our warrior three again. And there's my wobble, so hand went to my supports. Now this next one's a tricky one, and you do need the chair here or a wall here. My left hand has come over and has grabbed the chair. I am gonna now rotate my entire torso to the right. I flex back my right foot and I'm kicking it towards the wall. And I'm gonna reach my right hand up. So we're making a half moon shape now. If it feels really solid, and mine doesn't, so I'm not gonna do it, you could reach that left hand down towards the ground. It doesn't have to touch the ground, you'd just be balancing. Now we're gonna rotate back, right? Warrior three again. And then I'm gonna bring that leg, that right leg, I'm bending the knee, bringing it up behind me. And then I'm gonna pivot, right? Pivot on that left leg, right leg's gonna come up, knee is gonna turn out. There's our friend tree pose. I'm reaching down through this left leg. Here's a little trick I like with tree pose on the chair. Scoot that chair up to your knee. Your knee has now something to reach towards. You have an extra little bit of support for bringing the arms up. And then we let that release. Let's try the other side. Now this is one of the times, particularly because we have that half moon turn, we do want the chair to go over to the other side of the mat. We come back to our mountain pose, right? Make sure you've got a little bit of room there. And weight shifts into, right? That whole mountain goes to the right leg. So I can then pick that left leg up. There's that hip hitch. So I even my hips out, lifting. I'm gonna then twist. Right, there's my heron pose. I've twisted left, right hand's holding that left leg, left hand, here it is, it's back behind me. It could stay on the chair for this, like that. All right, now, maybe that's my signal. I'm gonna let go, stretch out, and I'm gonna bow and tip over. I lengthen through that left leg. Here's our warrior three again. And then there's half moon, so I I actually put both hands to the chair myself because I know I'm on my wobbliest ankle. Once the right hand has the chair, then I turn my torso to the left. I flex back now that left foot and I push it towards the wall. Left hand can reach up. We're reaching the top of the head away from that left foot. Maybe right hand releases the chair. All right, now rotate that back. Warrior 3. Bend that left knee. Foot is facing the sky now. And then pivot on that right leg, come up. Left knee turns out, left foot comes to that right leg. Maybe you scoot the chair to the knee and then take those arms up, reaching down and out through that right leg, down through that left knee, up through the arms, and let that release. Coming back to your mountain pose. This chair now, take it and bring it all the way up to the very top of your mat. You're going to turn it so the seat of the chair faces you. And I have my strap there. I'm going to get that out of my way just for the moment. I'm going to have a little sip of tea. Okay, so we're going to play a little bit with forward folds, but rather than a forward fold where you come all the way down to the floor, I'm going to show you a forward fold where you can come with your hands to the chair. This can be great for a lot of reasons. If you have back injury, any tenderness, even more importantly, well, not even more, I feel a little more importantly, just because the risks are a little higher, if you have low bone density, even borderline low bone density, a forward fold where you try and bring the hands all the way towards the earth is actually not safe for the spine, right? It puts loaded spinal flexion, right? Is definitely something we want to avoid if our bone density has started to decrease. So a chair is a great way to explore some of those poses. We'll even look at what I call a low chair downward facing dog, a plank pose with a chair. So all of these things you might think you'd need to be all the way on the ground for, I'm going to show how to do them now with this chair right here. We've done a lot of balance and side opening. This is going to be nice and stretching for the back body. So I'm here, mountain pose. I got my hands to the heart center. What I like to do for these is I reach down, out, and then up. Now as I come down, I'm going to bend my knees and my hips, and I'm going to bring the hands here to the seat of the chair. You can see how long I'm keeping my back. I'm reaching my tailbone back. Now I'm going to push out of my legs, push out of my hands, reach the top of the head, right, up towards the wall. I'm reaching my tailbone back. So this is a safe, supported forward fold if you have low bone density. Could be also if you have glaucoma, you don't want to have your head lower than your heart. This is another great option as well. And coming up, right, we don't want to curve and create that load, and we want to keep the head high. So I'm bending my knees and my hips, dropping them down again. See that long back. And then as I inhale, I push away from the earth and I come up. As I exhale, hands come to the heart. In my community, we call these also basic sun salutations. And this is a chair supported basic sun salutation. So let's inhale. We're going to do 2 more like that. Reach down, away, and up. As you exhale, hips and knees hinge. You're bowing down deeply. And then you're going to inhale, hands on chair, feet pressing down, hands pressing down. Go ahead and breathe out. Take the tailbone back, crown of the head forward. Feel your abdomen lift to the spine. And then next exhale, bend knees, bend hips, and inhale, push yourself up. Exhale, hands come down to the heart center. 1 more like that. And then at the end of that, instead of coming up, we're going to step back into what I call a low chair downward facing dog. Inhale, down, out and up. Exhale, Hinging hips, hinging knees, coming down. Inhale, lengthening into the back body. Right, reach the crown of the head away. And now as you exhale, instead of hinging and coming down, I'm gonna step, a generous step back, and I'm trying to bring my hips over my feet. I'm pressing my hands still onto the seat of the chair, and then I'm drawing my shoulder blades gently down my back. Top of the head is still reaching towards the chair, and I can feel there's a curve in my back, right? I'm gonna take that curve and try and flatten it out a bit by pulling my tailbone back more, lifting my abdomen up towards my spine. Now let's look at a plank. So I'm here, this is that downward facing dog, low chair dog. Take a breath in. I like to do my planks with an exhale. You can see I'm bending my knees a little bit. My hands, rather than flat on the chair, I'm moving them to the sides of the chair and slowly lowering myself down. I'm pushing, it's like I'm trying to push the chair away to lift myself up, keeping the neck long, heels are reaching back, abdomen's coming to spine. Let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, let those knees bend a little bit, rocking back to that low chair dog. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, a little bend in the knees. Let the hands shift to the sides of the chair. Right, come to a plank. Take a breath in. Breathe out. Downward facing dog. We're going to do one more of those. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, to a plank. Take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, one more time. Back to that downward facing dog. And then we're going to step a big step forward. Right, there's our forward fold, kind of a tabletop position. And then I'm going to bend my left knee and I'm going to swing my right hip out, push down through my right foot, swing that back, reach the hips back, and then bend that right knee. Carefully swing my left hip out to the left. Bring that back to center. Bend right, left knee, swing right hip out. I'm even now bending at the right waist, pushing off my hands. Bring that back to center, reach back through the hips. Bend that right knee, swing that left hip out, bend at the left waist. Bring that back to center. One more of these. Bend that left knee, right hip swings out. Bend at the right waist and then back to center. Bend the right knee, swing that left hip out, and bend at the left waist. And bring that back to center. And then go ahead, bend knees and hips, drop them down. Inhale, bring yourself back up again. So in the next part of this practice, we're gonna come on down to the ground. And what I recommend, particularly if you are somebody who finds this video and you're like, oh, I have borderline low bone density. The chair is a real vital part of coming down, right? You want to do that thing we just did. I'm going to demo this. And then what I do for when I come down is I make sure the chair is out of the way so it's really easy to see me on the ground. But just to demo safely using the chair to safely come down, particularly if you're trying to be careful of our bone density, right? So there's that knees and hips hinge, right? I carefully use the chair to bring myself down, right? And then I'm not gonna sit here curled up. I'm gonna immediately come down. We're gonna start with a few things on the abdomen. So when you do come down onto your abdomen. I like to use a little rolled up washcloth or, my favorite thing I discovered is my other yoga strap. But something that makes a little kind of platform, I unroll it a little bit. So a washcloth is great. You could use a little towel. This is going to be for your forehead when we are doing these poses that are prone and on the abdomen. Here we go. That should be lined up. Doesn't look like there's any new things in the chat. There we go. I'm actually not all the way on my mat. That's better. Okay. You can see one of the things I already kind of landed in a yoga pose. And how I kind of like to get to this one that I go to just out of habit is I stretch out first. Right? I make sure it feels like my hips are even against the floor. So I might lift up like that, let my legs come down, and then elbow walk back to make what I call the Sphinx pose. We lightly press down through the arms here, hands and arms, gently pull the chest forward and up a little bit. At the same time, get a little pelvic tilt towards the floor. Gaze, because I'm looking towards the camera, it's actually more towards, your face is turned a little more towards the floor rather than up like you were seeing me looking towards the camera, just so that the neck is nice and long. Okay, now we're gonna come down. Here is where that little washcloth or rolled up yoga strap, right, can be really helpful. I'm gonna take my glasses off for this one, set this to the side. So I've got my forehead resting on this, and I'm gonna bring my hands under my shoulders and squeeze my elbows in. At the same time, we want the knees to lift, and the classic way you see people doing this, and I do this too, right, is I press the tops of my feet down and my knees lift up. If that makes your feet cramp, go ahead and curl the toes under, right, lift up the knees that way. So play with that just for a second. What works best for your body? Tops of the feet down or toes under? We're going to keep those feet pressing down, the knees lifted, and a very strong pelvic tilt to the floor. That we're going to keep the whole time. I've got my hands here tucked in, elbows tucked in. When I inhale next, I'm going to peel my torso, my head, and my hands away from the floor. All right, I'm going to take a little hold there, and then I'm going to come down. Now, you might come down just an inch. You might tap your forehead down. Inhale, we lift up, little hold. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, lift, hold. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, hold. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, and lower. We're going to do one more. Inhale, lift, keep breathing. Take your hands, sweep them back towards your feet. Reach back through your hands. An option, lift your toes just an inch or two off the floor. Holding and breathing. Okay, now we're going to bring this down. Bring those hands back. Come all the way down. Let any held in breath out. And I really like to encourage, just for a moment, rock the hips side to side. Right, to release the lower back. And you might follow that up with bending the knees and the legs drop from side to side like a slow metronome. And then after that back bending, I like to stretch my lower back out. You might like a child's pose here, or another plank might feel good. My favorite usually is this downward facing dog. So anything that feels like you're getting a nice little stretch for the low back. Lengthening after those back bends. I'm doing a quick check. I saw the chat move while I was down. So before we come over onto our backs, thank you for that smiley face of encouragement. So we are now going to come over onto our backs. This is when you will want, right, that thing you grab for a yoga strap, whether it is an actual yoga strap or your bathrobe tie or your dog leash. Make sure it is handy. And come on over to your back. And then I like to kind of make sure my clothing and everything is smoothed down underneath me. I've got my knees bent. The strap here is just off to the side. We're gonna do a few rounds of a moving bridge. Now, the arms can do one of two things. Your arms might do this, right, up and over. And if that makes your shoulders feel a little unhappy, right, to do this movement instead. Come out to the side, come up as high as feels okay to those shoulders, and then down. So I like to say it's the yoga snow angel. Okay, we come out and down. So whichever of those works for your arms. Now, as we inhale, the arms are gonna lift or come up and over, right? Or out, and then the hips are gonna lift too. We're gonna exhale and come down. Inhale, lifting, exhale, lowering. And I was making some really big, huge breaths there. You might make these just nice and easy. Now, come on down. Elbows are gonna bend, right? And go ahead and then push down on the back of the arms, kind of shrug your shoulders underneath you a little bit. Hands can just rest here on the body. You could keep them pointing up at the sky if that feels good. We're gonna then inhale, lift, and we're gonna hold for a little bit. Not a super long hold. As you're holding, really press through the feet. Feel like the knees are reaching up and towards the sky. And bring that slowly down. Take the feet now wide, right? They're going out to the outer edges of the mat. And yeah, make sure the back feels like it's nice and smooth against the floor. And I'm gonna let my hips, arms, if it feels good to your shoulders, let it make cactus arms for this. I'm dropping my knees side to side and bring them back up. I'm rolling on the outer edges of my feet to do this as well. Now, next time these legs are heading left, I'm gonna let the left leg drop out. I'm flexing back my right foot and I'm gonna reach through my right knee. Now, at the same time, I'm gonna take my ribs here and shrug them towards the floor, kind of away from my knee. Reaching through that right leg. All right, now bring that up. Make sure the back feels nice and even against the floor, and then I just do a couple little rocks back and forth, and then we're gonna go to the right. So right leg drops all the way out. I flex back my left foot, and here you can see the moment I start reaching. Okay? And then I'm gonna draw my shoulder, left shoulder and ribs towards the earth the other way. I like this stretch because it gets along the top of the thigh, that where the thigh connects to the knee, gets a little stretch there. Okay, then yoga strap time. I'm gonna take and bring my left leg in. You could be using your hands for this or the strap. We're gonna be using the strap more extensively in a moment, but I kind of like to get it right off the bat. I'm just drawing my right knee up towards me. I've extended my left leg out, reaching through the heel, gently reaching left leg towards the floor. One of those caveats though, if you are someone with hypermobility, careful with this one, that reaching the leg down towards the floor can end up with a knee starting to hyperextend. So we want to find that happy medium between it feels like we have a strong reach through the down leg and keeping the knee safe. So I'm gonna now I've got my right hand, I've wrapped it around that right knee. I'm pulling that off the torso and up towards my armpit here. Gently pressing through that left leg. Again, keeping the knee safe if your knees are hypermobile. You can see I've extended my left arm out. Okay, now I'm gonna bring that back up. Give that a squeeze. And I'm gonna take just a moment here. You can see my foot moving. I'm just rotating my right ankle a few times in each direction. Okay, all the standing stuff it did, I'm just giving it a little bit of motion there. And then I'm going to take my left hand here on the right knee, and I'm pulling my right knee towards the midline. And you can see it's not going very far, because if I went any further, right, it's going to turn into a twist. And the twist is going to be at the end. Right now, I'm just trying to get some sense of change here, some sense of movement, lengthening. Okay, now bring that back in. Give that leg a squeeze. Then slip the hands behind the back of the leg and take that foot up in the sky. And here we're going to point and flex it. Okay, flex this foot back, reach up through the heel, stretch your toes out, out, out. All right, and bring that down, 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 down. And then inhale, release, come to, I call these a tall mountain. This is a supine tall mountain. Reach. Now, as you're reaching, go ahead, let the arms relax and just take a moment. Pause, let your breath be easy. And notice the difference between this right hip and leg and the left side. And it might just not be hip and leg. Maybe you feel difference all the way towards the ribs, just really feeling how is the right side different than the left side in this moment. Now, let's see what changes we can make for this left side. So first, right, that knee draws in towards us. We could be using hands or a strap for this. I'm pulling the left knee up towards me, and I'm extending my right leg down towards the floor, out through the heel. Careful with the knee if it's that right knee, if it is also prone to hyperextension. Okay, then I'm going to hold on, keep a hold of my left knee there with the left hand, and I'm pulling my left leg out and up towards the left armpit. I've stretched my right arm out, right leg is reaching down, kind of conscious of my whole right side pressing downwards to the earth. Okay, and then bring that left knee in, right, give it a squeeze. And left knee and right hand, take that across towards the midline. Our left arm can lengthen off to the left here. I got a gentle tug, but I'm keeping the left hip on the ground, not a twist. And bring that back up to center. Hands slip behind the back of that left leg and bring that up. I forgot the circles earlier, so we're going to first circle that left ankle and then point and flex a few times. And then bring that left leg in and come to a full body stretch. Okay, I did not forget that I said to have that yoga strap handy. Now we're going to come to this. So that was kind of like the warm-up version of this next one, which is supine hand to big toe, is what it is classically called in yoga texts. I've got, because that hand to big toe, right, might not be achievable ever or today. So this is what a yoga strap is great for. I've got a loop around the bottom of my right foot, right at the ball of the foot, so I can push up into that strap. And one of the things I love about the strap here is I'm lightly pulling on it as my heel pushes up and really getting a stretch onto that Achilles tendon. I'm keeping a little softness in my knee, right? Watchful for that chance of hyperextension. And I'm going to let my left hand come up and take a hold of the strap. There we go. Find a comfortable grip here for the left hand. And then I've got my right arm is going to extend out to the right, and I am gently, so there's a little bit of tug happening with the left hand, but also the right leg is pushing. Now here, this is not a twist, right? I am keeping this leg long, keeping my back on the floor. Left leg is extending. You might feel this in the hip. There's a chance, though, this will be much more acutely felt in the calf, around the ankle, in the back of the leg, the sides of the leg. It might not even feel like it makes it all the way to the hip. So don't feel like you're doing it wrong if that's the case. It's one of the reasons I do that little hip warm up first, where we take the knee across. This is one, it is worth being here a while. Right? So just a couple more breaths here. Make the last one as big as you comfortably can. All the way in, all the way out. And then as you inhale, bring that leg back up. And I'm going to let the left arm come down and stretch out. Right hand's already reached up and grabbed a hold of the strap. Now, I personally like to stabilize this next one by bending my left knee and putting the foot on the floor. Then I reach my right foot out and up to the right, but I'm also dropping my left knee out to the left. Left arm is out to the left here. My right foot's kind of going off screen. This is one of those cases I can actually get my hand to my big toe. And it's a good reminder, that hand to big toe, because this is where a lot of people think this pose is leg to floor. And it's not. It's about getting it up towards the hand, towards the armpit. Then it can go out, but it doesn't ever have to make it onto the floor. Okay, now I'm going to bring both my left knee and my right leg up. This is a great time to extra stretch the back of that right leg. You can pull it. You can see I'm pulling it gently towards my head. I'm trying to make sure my tailbone doesn't lift up when I'm doing this. I'm keeping a little softness in the knee. It's another time to really pull the toes back towards you. Push up through the heel, stretch the Achilles tendon, the bottom of the foot. This one is great. If you deal with plantar fasciitis, this little stretch here is really good for getting the bottom of the foot and that ankle tension some help. All right, now we're going to do a figure four, and there's several ways to do this. The most often you'll see is that people bring their arms through and they grab their leg and pull it in. A trick I learned because of that hand and shoulder injuries is to slip a strap around the front of that left knee. Then we'll bring that right leg back. I've got the right foot flexed back here to make sure the ankle and the knee have stabilization. And then there's sometimes you'll see people say we should push this knee away, and that is actually not good advice. So just let this hand be easy for the moment. I'm holding the strap in place with my left hand, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to reach this right knee that way, right, towards my feet. Now as I do this, my left side starts to lift up, so I've got to push through my left foot, keep my waist on the ground, particularly on the left, and try and reach that right knee out. This gets stretch here in this front outer edge of the hip flexor, which can be a tricky place to get a stretch. So I like to make sure to include this before I lift up fully into the idea of figure four most people are familiar with. All right, now remember we got the strap around the front of the knee. My arms are going to do the work, but I don't have to curl my upper back and head away from the floor. This is another time, if you've got low bone density, that curling up away from the floor is again putting load on the spine that could be risky. So instead, the strap around the knee lets me use my arm strength, but my head and my back are staying flat on the floor and supported, so there can't be any load in the spine. When I do this with the strap too, one of the things I think it makes it really easy to do is to circle that left leg. Right? We make a few circles with the left leg, which of course is circling the right leg. So both hips are getting this rolling motion. It's just good for keeping those joints lubricated. Once I've kind of settled, sometimes I find rocking feels really good.
might feel like my low back is smooth against the floor. So I'll often do those things for a little bit and then think about trying to pull this left leg even closer to me. I have a saying I have used for years when I'm teaching is that if you can't breathe, you've gone too far. So if you're pulling this leg in, you suddenly go, let the leg out a little bit till the breath can be even and easy again. If you do feel like you want to add a little something extra, what you can do, watch this as a subtle movement. Here's my back, low back flat against the floor. Sacrum's really smooth and down. I'm gonna then, see that little movement? That's me tipping on my sacrum to point my tailbone down. Now this lifts up the lower back some amount, so we've got to have a strong movement from the abdomen to keep the low back stable. Okay, now let this release, and what we're going to do is bring that left foot down on the ground. I'm going to show you two twist options here. I'll set that strap to the side for the moment. So one of the twists puts a lot more pressure in the hip and the knee and joint in particular. Here's a case, if you've got low bone density, this might not be the best twist to pick. You should pick the next twist I'll show in just a moment. But if you think a deep stretch feeling in the hip would feel good, notice how I've brought my left hand up here. I've cupped it around the front of my right ankle. I'm still in that figure 4 shape. And what I'm going to do is drop my legs over to the left. My right foot's going to come down. And what I keep the left hand here for is I've noticed when I don't use the left hand, I have to work really hard to keep my right foot pressing down and not sliding. So the left hand adds a little extra stabilization. And you try and relax into this twist. You can see I let the right arm open, extend out to the right at shoulder height or lower. I'm lightly pushing my left foot down, my right foot down. Left finger is lightly holding. See if the left leg, though, can relax. All right, so that's one twist. Coming out of it, you roll into the twist, let that leg out, come out. Low bone density, folks. Let me show you your twist. So here you are, there's that figure 4. You're gonna let the left leg stretch out, reach out, take the right knee in the left hand again. And I'm gonna roll that right knee towards the left. You can see I've rolled up onto my left leg. Right arm could be stretched like this. If that makes the shoulder feel a little unstable, we can keep that right hand here on the ribs and just let the elbow drop back towards the earth. This right knee is, I'm still holding it with the left hand. You could let it go. You could stretch the right leg out. Mine's going to go off camera if I do that. And if you're in this stretch, same thing. We're all going to come out of our twist by rolling towards the left, releasing the right leg, and then coming to our backs. Stretch on out. And then, oh, wrong one. So it happens when you have a pair of yoga straps. All right, we're going to do the other side. And just notice again, right? How does that right side feel compared to the left side? I'm going to lift up and shift around a little bit because it feels like my low back is a little uneven. And I'm going to hug that knee in. I forgot, did the wrong thing with the strap. I'm going to slip the strap around the bottom of that left foot. Then I'm going to push the left foot up. Reach it up, up, up. Lightly pulling on the strap as you push up through the heel. And that stretch for the Achilles tendon. Back of the thigh too, back of the calf. And let right hand reach up, take a hold of the strap. Left arm's going to unfold out to the left. Right leg's going to reach out and down. Right, careful of the knee. Left foot's pushing towards the right. It's crossing the midline. I'm keeping my back and my hip down on the left. Right hand's lightly pulling. Reach, reach, reach. And remember, this is the one we hold the longest. Let your breaths feel as even and easy, while at the same time, how deep, right? How deep can your easiest breath be? Or how easy can your deepest breath be? Finding that place where the two cross over. You feel like it is both a full breath, but still not straining. Okay, now inhale, bring that left leg back up. Go ahead, reach up, get a hold of the strap with the left hand. We're gonna bend the right knee, right foot's gonna go on the floor there. Moving the strap out of the way, right hand's gonna extend right. Left foot reaches out and up to the left. Right knee extends out to the right. Try and keep a little more on screen there. Reach, reach, reach. And remember, we're reaching foot towards, hand towards big toe, not leg to floor. Next time you have an inhale, bring that leg back up. Right knee comes back up, right arm comes in. I'm going to drop that left leg down to the right leg. But I'm going to take a moment. And here you can see my hand is starting to get tired. So there's that trick I like with the strap where I have it looped around my arm. Then I loop the other end around the front of my right knee. I'm flexing back my left foot and I'm gently reaching my left knee in direction of my feet towards the bottom of the mat. Gentle here, pressing through the right foot. We want to keep the right waist down, the back down. Okay, pull gently on the strap, lifting that right leg up. And if there's those little movements, I'm going to start with a little rock because my low back still didn't feel like it was nice and smooth. And then I'm going to do a couple circles. And then just right amount of bringing that leg towards me. And then I'm just going to pause. Then I'm going to do that tailbone tip. I'm tipping the tailbone down. I'm still trying to reach out through my right leg, down through my right leg. Tailbone's reaching towards the earth. I'm keeping the abdomen really strong to support the low back with that tailbone tip. And I'm still maybe trying to pull the right leg up towards me with the strap. And then let that release. And set this strap out of the way. And then what's the twist that's going to work best, right? Are you going to try this? I had a colleague call this twist a sleeping pigeon, or right, this crossover twist. Which feels best? Right leg is extending. We're taking left knee and right hand, drawing it over. Right? Our left arm could be extended, or we could have the elbow out. On that one, my shoulders feel a little tender today, so I'm going to leave that hand in. That sleeping pigeon twist, just a refresher on this side again too. So you get to see them both sides. And it too, right? Left arm could be extended. If it feels good to have that arm out, you could have a hand here on the ribs. It feels okay extended on this version of the twist. The shoulder's closer to the floor in sleeping pigeon for me than it is the other twist. Okay. Either way, whichever twist, remember we're gonna roll towards the right, release that left leg, then come back. Tall mountain. And then, right, let everything relax. And it smooth the back down. If this is the time when we do that posture of rest and integration. So that's what Shavasana really is. It's resting, but that rest, why it's so important is it's how we integrate the practice we just did. If the low back is ever tender for lying on the floor, one of the things you can do is, right, we have the feet out, I have them out at the edges of the mat, and then I drop my knees in to rest against each other. This keeps the low back released usually down towards the earth, but I don't have to kind of focus on keeping my legs upright. Gravity from them falling together is going to just let them hang, literally kind of hang out here while I rest. You might have blankets, you might have other things that make Shavasana feel really cozy. But you can just have you on the floor, maybe on the yoga mat, just you resting. As you rest, you're just feeling the body settle. And we did a lot of movements using strength, using flexibility, using balance. I'm going to move, but I'm going to do just a little guided meditation here. For any of you who are watching while you rest, this is my rotation. I'm not allowed to rotate my device. Okay, there we go. If you weren't here at the very, very beginning, you would have learned this is the very first time I'm trying YouTube Live today. So definitely a learning curve for me here. So as you're here resting, notice all the ways the body is settling. Notice all the places where you can feel where the body was exerting. The effort to do standing poses, the effort to do those supine ones, they still take strength. And now you're letting that effort go. Your body is letting it go. And the body is settling slowly but surely. And then if you bring the awareness from the physical body and the settling it is doing, notice how your breath is settling. Does the breath feel like it is tight? Is it caught anywhere? And if that's the case, just pause for a moment and notice that tightness. Notice that place the breath feels caught. And just softly ask if it could try letting go. Even the smallest amount. Can there be any shift in any tightness we feel anywhere around our breath?
Letting your breath now feel as light and easy as possible. You are settling into an effortless breath that your body knows how to do. You do not have to make it happen. You just have to remember to breathe in and out. We've watched the body, observed the body settling and the breath settling. Check in now with your heart, mind, self, and notice how maybe those thoughts and emotions maybe are a little slower or a little quieter. Maybe there's less of them. The part of ourselves that's doing this observing is the wisdom self. Your wisdom self is just a non-judging, curious awareness. So if you do notice any judgment arising, just note that is the heart mind thinking. And see if you can practice letting that thought go. Maybe you imagine sending those thoughts to a nearby park for a walk, so that you can feel like this heart, mind, self is able to settle into rest and support. You are resting here. You are whole and complete and worthy, just as you are right now, resting in this space. All right. Let yourself breathe in now a breath that intentionally feels like it's deeper, bigger. A deeper breath is always going to feel bigger. And a couple of those. Make sure you feel like you're breathing all the way out as well. Like that breath is anchoring you back to the earth, into this moment. And then I like to start with a little movement for the hands and the feet. I'll also often, when I'm coming out of that rest, let my head just move a gentle no until you feel you're ready to start moving back up out of this space of rest, moving back into your day. I thank you, those of you that have joined me, the questions you asked. I look forward to trying these again. I'm hoping, as I was saying at the very beginning, to start using YouTube Live maybe 1 to 2 times a week, so that there'll start being a series of classes, full-length classes available of both my Yoga for Vitality, which is what this live session is. That is a chair-assisted class that does do fully standing, fully supine on the floor yoga. And also starting to have a weekly YouTube Live of my chair yoga classes. So I look forward to seeing some of you again sometime. I look forward to your comments. Thanks so much for joining me. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you for practicing.